Today we're talking about the darkest secret hiding inside Toy Story. There's a reason so many adults feel a strange unease when they watch Jessie the Cowgirl. It's not just nostalgia. It's not just a sad scene. It's because Pixar secretly animated a textbook case of real psychological trauma and slipped it into a kids' movie. You might think Toy Story is a colorful fairy tale, but how do you explain a character showing clinical symptoms of severe PTSD and claustrophobia? I've gone through the entire franchise, and I'm going to break down exactly why Jessie's existence is a living nightmare. When it comes to great storytelling, it really comes down to one thing: expectations versus reality. We expect kids' movies to be safe and happy, but when reality crashes through that expectation and drags you somewhere much darker, it hooks you completely. I'm Mr. Cursed. I dig into the darkest, most unsettling theories hiding in animation. If you want to keep uncovering what's buried inside your favorite childhood shows, hit subscribe and leave a like. Now grab something to drink, get comfortable, and let's go. When we first meet Jessie in Toy Story 2, she's bouncing off the walls, hyperactive, hostile toward Woody. Most people laugh it off. Quirky character, right? But look closer. This isn't energy. This is a trauma response. Think about what she actually is. She's fully sentient, fully self-aware, and she spent years, maybe decades, trapped in absolute darkness. A cardboard box. Can't move, can't speak, just waiting and being forgotten. Her sudden outbursts, her manic laughter, those aren't signs of joy. They're a coping mechanism, a way to drown out the silence of that dark box that still lives in her head every single day. To understand how a mind breaks like Jessie's, you have to look at how her story is told. Most movies show abandonment as a quick, fleeting moment. Pixar does something crueler. They make you watch the slow decay of hope, frame by frame. Notice how she hyperventilates? Notice how her eyes go wide in pure animalistic terror the second anyone mentions a box? That's not a quirk. That's a visceral, physical reaction. The creators engineered it to touch our deepest fear: isolation. And for Jessie, the answer to what broke her is a double betrayal. First came the slow crawl of being outgrown. Her owner, Emily, drifted away. The golden light in Emily's room turned cold and gray. Jessie got pushed under the bed, left to gather dust in the dark. But the real break? That comes later. After years of nothing, Emily pulls her out. One brief, shining moment, Jessie thinks she's loved again. She's going on a ride. The nightmare is over. Then the car stops. Emily drops her into a donation box and drives away. That moment, the false hope followed by irreversible abandonment. That's what shatters her. That's not just a sad scene. That's the birth of an existential dread she'll carry forever. Now, what happened to Jessie is devastating, but if you don't know who Emily actually grew up to be, the true horror of this story is completely lost on you. Quick note before I reveal this. What we're covering today is a well-researched theory pieced together by dedicated viewers, and most notably popularized by researcher John Negroni. We're detectives here, reading between the lines of what the creators left for us. Most people think Andy's mom is just a background character, a plot device. We accept it without question. But here's what the evidence actually says. The little girl, Emily, the one who threw Jessie away, grew up and became Andy's mother. I know, sounds insane, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Look at Andy's cowboy hat from the first movie. Woody is his favorite toy, no question, but Andy's hat? It looks nothing like Woody's. It's an exact match for Jessie's bright red hat. You might say, wait, Jessie's hat has a white lace ribbon. Andy's doesn't. You're right, but look incredibly close at the animation. There's a faded mark on Andy's hat, right where a lace ribbon used to be. It fell off from age. Now line up the timeline. The flashbacks of young Emily show her bedroom filled with psychedelic posters and rotary phones. That's the 1970s. The first Toy Story takes place in the mid-90s. Andy's mom's age matches a grown-up Emily perfectly. And here's the move that seals it. Across the entire franchise, not once do the creators ever say Andy's mother's real name. She's always just Mrs. Davis, or Mom. So what does all of this actually mean? It means Andy's mom kept her old cowboy hat as a relic from childhood. And when her son fell in love with cowboys, she passed it down to him. And then, at the end of Toy Story 2, Jessie finally finds a new home. Andy's house. She's returned to her original owner. But the decades have changed them both beyond recognition. Emily doesn't see her abandoned childhood toy in her son's new plaything. And Jessie has no idea she's living under the same roof as the woman who broke her. Two people, same room, forever separated by a wall of ignorance neither of them can see through. For a so-called family film, that's a staggering level of tragedy. That revelation alone is enough to make your stomach drop. But if we go a little deeper into the actual rules of this universe, we hit a question that's haunted viewers for years. What are these toys exactly? How do they work? And why don't they ever die? Some fans think they're possessed by spirits. Others think they're serving some kind of karmic sentence trapped in plastic. They don't age. Woody and Jessie were made in the 1950s, and physically, they're completely immortal. But immortality without purpose isn't a gift, it's a curse. And the most chilling explanation for that curse didn't come from a random fan theory online. It came directly from Josh Cooley, the director of Toy Story 4. He was asked about the nature of their immortality, and here's what he said. "I heard someone say that these toys are vampires, and instead of blood, they feed on the joy of children." Sit with that. A child's love, their emotional attachment, isn't just a warm bonus for these toys. It's their life force, their fuel. Without it, they don't get to die and find peace. They're trapped in an eternal, waking starvation, conscious, suffering, and slowly losing their minds. This completely reframes Jessie's terror around boxes. It's not just a fear of the dark, it's the panic of being cut off from the only thing keeping her sane. When Emily left her under the bed, Jessie wasn't just lonely, she was starving in the dark. For years, feeling her mind go piece by piece. And when you apply this logic to the villains of the series, everything shifts. Think about Stinky Pete the Prospector from Toy Story 2. Most people write him off as a bitter bad guy who wanted to ruin Woody's life. But remember his history. Pete spent decades on a store shelf, sealed inside a mint-condition cardboard box. He never once felt the love of a child. In the context of the vampire theory, he's never fed. Not once. He's been starving since the day he was made. His manipulation, his quiet rage, his desperate need to lock Jessie and Woody inside a museum display case. These aren't the actions of a standard animated villain. They're the actions of a mind irreversibly warped by infinite isolation. He craved the cold, predictable stability of the museum because, in his eyes, love only ever brought suffering. Pete believed it was safer to feel nothing behind a pane of glass than to risk the world-shattering agony of being loved and then abandoned. He chose numbness over starvation. You can't even fully blame him for that. If you think we've gone too deep, hold on. Because this darkness wasn't an accident. It wasn't fan projection. It was built into the DNA of this franchise from day one. Among the animators, there's a legendary incident called the Black Friday Reel. The early drafts of the first Toy Story were so cynical and brutal that Disney executives came dangerously close to killing the entire project. In those original drafts, Woody wasn't the loyal, kind leader we know. He was written as a sadistic dictator. Remember when Woody accidentally knocked Buzz out the window? In the Black Friday reel, it wasn't an accident. Woody threw him on purpose. A conscious act of violence against another living being to protect his food source, Andy's attention. The tone was eventually softened, but the echoes of that original darkness stayed inside the story. And if you go deep enough into the most obscure corners of the community, there are legends about lost scenes from the second movie. Deleted sequences where conflicts between characters allegedly created disturbing visual anomalies. Toys experiencing full psychological breakdowns from the weight of their immortal existence. There's even a widely discussed alternate ending to the When She Loved Me segment, the one focused on Jessie. According to people who've researched it, the original cut depicted her trauma with such raw, crushing despair that test audiences, grown adults, were visibly shaken. They didn't just feel sad, they felt drained. They begged the studio to cut it because they couldn't handle it. That reaction tells you everything you need to know about what Pixar was actually building here. But Jessie's story isn't over. In June 2026, the fifth Toy Story hits theaters. And based on leaks, insider statements, and cast confirmations, Jessie is the central character. So what does she face this time? If her old enemy was time, the fact that children grow up and move on, her new enemy is something much bigger. The plot revolves around the toys going up against electronic devices, specifically a smart tablet named LilyPad. Think about what that means for Jessie. Her entire existence, her sanity, her survival, depends on a child actively using their imagination to play with her. A glowing screen replaces that. Algorithms do the playing for them. Children don't need to invent stories about cowboys anymore. That existential starvation we talked about, it's no longer one child forgetting one toy. It's the threat of mass, permanent obsolescence for their entire species. And on top of that, there are heavy rumors the fifth film might finally bring back a fully grown Emily. Will Jessie get the closure she's been starving for? Or will technology sever that final thread before she can even reach it? We find out soon. Toy Story works on so many levels because you can look at it from so many angles. For kids, it's a bright fairy tale about friendship and adventure. For us, the adults watching closely, it's a raw metaphor for loss, for the inability to let go of the past, for the desperate, aching need to heal wounds we never asked for. Jessie is that part of all of us, the part that's scared of being left behind, of being forgotten, of ending up back in that dark box. And speaking of dark boxes, the YouTube algorithm operates a lot like one. It buries channels where no one can find them. Your subscription, your like, your comment. That's the emotional energy that keeps us out of the dark. It's the fuel that lets us keep digging into the twisted secrets hiding inside your favorite childhood stories. So head to the comments right now. Do you believe Andy's mom is actually Emily? And what other unsettling childhood mysteries are keeping you up at night? I read every single one. This has been Mr. Cursed. Take care of yourselves, value your past, and I'll see you